Hey guys, it's Jarek the Game & Dragon showing you some more Dirt 3. This time we're going to be doing some Trailblazer races in a Norway race. And this is the car I'm using. It's a pretty sweet car. I don't know how I'm forgetting the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't remember what it is. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell you. I've completely forgotten it. Anyway, I'm going to do the cockpit view for the first race. I'm going to show you 3 different races, but let's just go ahead in the first one. Now, doing this is actually very, very difficult. Just because in this car and during Trailblazer races, you don't have someone telling you, hey look, you got a turn coming up. You don't have a spotter of any sort, so you don't know where the turns are going to show up, and there's a lot of unexpected, sudden, very sharp turns after you're going about 120 miles an hour. So you can see my speed gauge, see how fast I'm going. You are really going fast in this car. It takes off, and in about 6 seconds you're going 100 miles an hour. And you got sudden, really sharp turns, so you gotta watch out for them. And of course, no one tells you because you're doing Trailblazer race. And where would somebody else fit in this car? Why don't we just have someone sitting on the hood? Just tape them on there. That'll be real safe. So you can tell me over a mic because I won't be able to hear. Just tape someone at the bottom of the car. It'll be fine. But yeah, the cockpit view. You'd think this would be more difficult because you can't see a whole lot of it. You have very limited vision. But it's actually very easy to drive in this view on this car because you're so low to the ground and you have where you need to see. It makes you focus exactly where you need to be looking right in front of you. And it's actually a lot easier than you think. Something else I like about the cockpit view is just listen to this. Yeah, you don't get those sound effects when you're doing the behind the car view. I prefer that because you can hear everything around it. And I don't know if you can hear something. When it comes to driving, people think that seeing is all there is about driving. But hearing the way in this game specifically, hearing the way the car is gripping the ground, it'll give you kind of a short beforehand. You'll know if the car is going to grip or not on wherever you're trying to turn. So it actually helps a lot. And that is just cool. It's just this game has really good sound design. It's not something you would expect out of a racing game, but it does. It even has really good 5.1 surround sound design, which is, I mean, you don't even need that, to be honest, because whenever a car comes up behind you, you can see the arrow, so you don't need to know if someone's behind you or not. You're gonna be able to tell. But it does help, and it's really, really cool. So I'm glad they went through the extra effort to make the game that much more polished. It adds a lot to it. Now this one, I think this one is the longest race out of all 3 I'm going to show you. It was, I can't remember what it was. It was a Trailblazer event, some competition. I don't remember which one it was. But it was a lot of fun. This is easily one of my favorite ones. I love the Trailblazer races. They're not my favorite in the whole game, but they're definitely the most hectic, where you're in control yet completely out of control at the same time. This makes it look a lot easier. It's really not as easy as I'm making it look. Anyway, we're coming up at the end of the race here, so let's look at my time. And as you can see, I beat someone by about a little over a second. And the bonus, finished without taking damage, did that pretty, well, I wouldn't say easily, but I did that. And there we go, let's go to the next race. Second race, look at the red light on the left. Yep, it didn't do anything. So apparently if you look at that red light in the replay mode, it doesn't turn red, it doesn't turn green. The way it usually works in the single player is that 3 dots turn red, 6 dots turn red, 9 dots turn red, and then they all turn green and you go. But apparently in the replay mode, they don't do anything whatsoever. So that's kind of funny. Anyway, I changed the camera angle for this race. I put it to the on-the-hood camera angle, which I really like with this car because this car is super low to the ground, and it gives you a really nice angle on everything, and you can see how fast you're going, you can see where the headlights are pointing. It's this camera angle just works perfect on this car. I'm usually not a big fan of it, but for this car specifically, it is awesome. So yeah, we're doing a nighttime race here. That's what the second one is. I guess it's technically dusk. It's not actually night completely. As you can see, the sky is a little bit bright, and that's actually, in real life, that is the worst time to be driving because your eyes are still trying to focus on the light, but they're also trying to focus on the ground, which is completely dark. So if someone walks by you wearing dark clothes, you can't see them in any way whatsoever. So it messes with a lot of people's eyesights. And note to any pedestrians walking around at that time, just make sure cars actually stop, because half the time they won't. I can't tell you the amount of times I've hit someone's side of the car because I live like across the street from a store. So I'll be crossing the crosswalk, just kind of standing there in one lane, and I'll see a car coming at me, so I stop and wait for him to go by, because he won't even stop. I'll be standing in the crosswalk in the middle of the street, and he won't do anything, and I'll hit the side of his car, and people get pissed off. They actually get more scared than they get pissed off. But yeah, people need to stop being blind. But it's kind of hard to see people at that time of the day. Anyway, that's the shortest race out of the 3. As you can see my time. The bonus beat a time of 1:49. I absolutely smashed that bonus. You can tell I'm playing this on the hardest difficulty because the time of 1:49. The slowest guy on here beat that time, so that's yeah, just a little testament to show I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. So yeah, let's go to the next race. Alright, this race. This race was a little frustrating. Now, it was frustrating because there was a lot of unexpected turns, and like I said before, you didn't have a co-pilot telling you, hey, turn left here. You just got to do it by eyesight and reaction. And it's also raining, so you have absolutely no traction. Turning is a bitch. You have to change the way you turn. There's a lot of unexpected turns that come out of nowhere. There's a lot of just tricky turns in general that came out of nowhere. Like, there should be one coming up right about here. This S turn here, this got me a lot of times. Because if you go too fast, you go right into the water. If you go too slow, then you just don't want to go too slow. And if you try to cut it, on the right side, if you try to cut that, there's a bunch of lumber that you don't see behind plants, and that just demolishes your car immediately. You got to start over and do a flashback. This race was pretty difficult, to say the least. So I'm showing you behind the camera angle on this one just so you can see what I was actually doing. It's actually easier to use the in-cockpit angle on this this race because the cockpit in this car doesn't have a windshield, so that there's no rain hitting the windshield. You can see perfect visibility. When you're behind the car at this angle, you can see water will just kind of hit the lens and it'll throw you off a little bit. But yeah, this race was definitely the hardest out of all of them. And it almost was a little bit frustrating. Even with the flashbacks, it was still difficult to beat this on the hardest difficulty. You couldn't go too slow, which you wanted to do with this car, because this car just takes off, 0 to 100 in 6 seconds or so. Great acceleration, really fast, so you got to use some self-control on the gas in this race. Anyway, we're coming up to the end of the race right here. Let's look at my time. So let's see. Bonus, beat a time of 1 minute 37 seconds. I demolished that. I got 1 minute 27 seconds. And the next guy behind me was a decent amount of time behind me. So despite that being somewhat difficult, I think I did a pretty good job. Only American in that list. And there you go. There's some more Trailblazer races in Finland.